Call it what you will, call it what you want. I love the third generation, okay? This is no secret to no one. Everyone knows that Dig Dug himself loves the third generation. However, one thing I never really got down to talk about is my favorite monsters in the third generation. So what I decided to do, split up in a couple of vids. I want to talk about my top 5 favorite subspecies in the third generation. And I know it's kind of a weird video for you all, but hey, I love this generation. So let's talk about it. Believe it or not, making his entrance in Portable Third, Brute Tigrex. That's correct. Brute Tigrex is a slapperoonie of a monster. Like, I've always liked the Tigrex line of monsters, not because I respect it all that much, but because there's some of the, like, they took pseudo-wyvern that just makes loud noises, okay? And then said, okay, let's make a subspecies of that, and just make them make louder noises. I like Brute Tigrex way more than Tigrex. Tigrex gets on my nerves, but Brute Tigrex, I like the fact that his main means of attack is his voice. They took what he had and turned it up to 11, because other than that, he roared, yeah, and then he just kind of ran you over, yeah. Well, that's boring. That's boring. So Brute Tigrex like, yo, let's use the roar and turn it into a weapon, which he did with gusto. So I do love that. That's actually really dope. I love how they took a roar, a thing like a roar. Not very many monsters actually have roars that damage you, let alone do they have those roars as attacks. But Brute Tigrex is essentially just that. He took his roar and made it an attack. That's actually pretty awesome. Imagine like ear splitting, eardrum busting type of stuff coming from my boys here. So with the roar out, he does have a particularly different attack pattern for most other things. He actually uses the roar in a multitude of different ways, more so than you would your standard fare of actual monsters who actually fight and then roar. He will again use it as an actual attack. Like he'll do other setups. Like he'll run around, he'll hit you with the tail, he'll do a tail spin, he'll do a tail spin in the roar, that kind of thing, you know. So it's really unique. I like Brute Tigrex because of his uniqueness. Tigrex wasn't a badly designed monster in my opinion. It was just that I felt like he needed a little something extra. See, for Diablos could actually dig and then could jump out the ground and start kicking. Now imagine Diablos that couldn't dig. That's Tigrex. That's boring. So I'm really glad they gave us Brute Tigrex, a monster that actually comes into his own, took what he already had from before, and added something brand new to make him a much better, more appealing fight to many a veteran and a newcomer. Well, newcomers are getting mocked, but you know, veterans like myself, we really enjoy that. So shout out to Brute Tigrex. Brute Tigrex make it on the list, number 5. That's my man's right there. In the number 4 spot, we have the homie Hallowed Jhen Moran, or Moran, or whatever. I don't care. Anyway, Jhen is my favorite, like, is he? Yeah, he's my favorite Elder Dragon of all time. I had to think here for a second. But he's my favorite Elder Dragon of all time. And when I learned that he got a subspecies, I was like, yo, word? That's kind of sick. So let me tell you a little something about my man Hallowed Jhen. So Jhen, the fight with Jhen is pretty cool. It's quite unique actually. You're on the dragon ship and then you're trying to ward him off. And then you get to a particular point in the fight where you have to fight him mano a mano, and then you get off the ship and you give him what for, you know what I mean? Well, Hallowed Jhen is essentially the same as that, but the one thing I learned with fighting Jhen is that it kind of got a little stale, you know what I mean? There was a couple of things I kind of wish he did a little bit differently within the fight, just to keep it fresh. Well, Hallowed Jhen literally took everything that I wanted him to do to keep it fresh, you know what I mean? And made it happen. So when you first start the fight, you're in the bunker, I guess you call it. You get your supplies, whatever, and you come up front. If you take a little too long, like 5 or 6 seconds too long, and you come up front, boom, he hits you with his tusk attack. Like he rams the ship immediately to damage you. So that's something I didn't expect that, because with Jhen, you know, he kind of gives you some time to set up. He don't even attack you right away. Hallowed attacks you immediately. You're out the gate, okay? So he's very like on top of you with this. His attack patterns are more sporadic than that of standard Jhen. It's kind of hard to get the rhythm down, but eventually you will, you know what I mean? He just switches up the attack patterns of what he can and cannot do. His coloring is actually quite unique as well, so I'm really a huge fan of that. Now, when you get to the final battle, Hallowed Jhen has like a sand cannon or something like that is what I can call it. Like he'll he'll suck in a lot of air, a lot of sand, a lot of dust, and then he shoots it at you. That attack is amazing. When the first time I saw that, I was just like, wow, this is power right here. So they changed up the preliminary fight on the boat. They changed it up quite a bit, you know, made things come out of order, out of turn, have them do certain things that makes it a bit more different, keeps it fresh. I like fighting Jhen and Hallowed Jhen back to back because, you know, it's like a sporadic kind of thing. And then when you get to the main final showdown area, the fight there is a little bit different as well. And then he also employs this whole new attack that can actually, like, it'll basically almost kill you one shot. It's amazing. So I love Hallowed Jhen. The armor is actually broken. HP with health plus 50, razor sharp, and handicraft for free. Godlike. At the number 3 spot, the big homie Ivory Lagiacrus. Now let's take it back a bit. If you're in the village and you're doing the village quest, the story mode, if you will, initially everyone thinks that the one who's causing all these problems to the village, the Mogi village, if you will, is Lagiacrus. Turns out that's not the case. He was just literally just chilling. And then later on, you find out there's actually Cetus or Sideus or Silanidius or whatever the hell you want to call him. I don't really care. But after you complete all that, the elder's like, hey, yo, my mans, you kind of nice. I wonder if you can fight the one monster I've yet to actually beat. And that one monster yet to actually beat is actually a subspecies that of Lagiacrus, namely Ivory Lagiacrus. So I'm gonna break it down for you real small right here. Ivory Lagiacrus is mostly land. He's like land based. Now some people can be plant based, like they're eating nothing but plants. My man is land. Ivory is plant based. He sits on plants. Plants being grass, that's on earth, that's on land. My man is plant based, i.e. he is ground based. He does little to no fighting underwater. Okay, if you see him underwater, he's running away to go to sleep, honestly. So when you see him in the first area, he'll do all the fighting above ground. Yeah, and not underwater. Yeah, but it's okay though. I know this game was designed to be underwater centric, but to see Lagiacrus actually have a way in which to fight so well on land is fantastic in the form of Ivory Lagiacrus. So let's explain it like this. His standard suite of attacks have been modified greatly. He has a whole bunch of different ways to actually do certain things he would usually do underwater, he would do on land now. He has certain different like parameters to certain attacks that he does that kind of give hunters like myself a lot of, you know, a lot of fury, I guess is the word. There's this one attack where he just kind of like tucks into himself that hits you every time. Doesn't hurt, but it flinches you no matter what you were doing. It flinches you, causes you to mess up, and then sometimes after that he likes to combo with his body electric discharge. So he has a huge suite of different attacks and different styles of fighting. If you fought Laggy in the 4th generation, you technically, literally, bros, you've technically fought Ivory Lagiacrus. They literally took Ivory and just made that into Laggy and just called it a day. It's essentially the same monster. I would know. I fought him for years. There's like one attack that he doesn't have, but other than that, it's the same monster, essentially. So I like the fact that he's very, very, very strong on land, incredibly weak underwater because he didn't really fight underwater, but it's an incredibly strong fight on land. And to see my man Laggy, but yes, Ivory, works so well underwater and then works so well on top the water, on top the land, on top the ground, yo, plant-based is really dope. Shout out to the big homie at number 3. It is no surprise to anyone out there that I don't like Zinogre, but contrary to very popular belief, he's not my most hated. You guys just seem then again, I keep bringing it up, but the hate that you guys think that I have for him is not as great as you think it is. He is like my number 8 or number 7 least favorite monster of all time. And he's kind of low on the list. He's not even really up there. There's monsters that I have beyond blind fury with, okay? But anyway, this is the good one. Stygin Zinogre is the good one. His fights in 3 Ultimate, when I first fought him, he was the full-on gatekeeper. He was smacking not just myself, but everyone very hard. Like, I have one thing to say for that. The full reason as to why he's so powerful, he's so daunting. He is like a gatekeeper, whom of which is surprisingly so late in the game. Dragon Balls. Now, you don't understand unless you're there, okay? I can't explain to you, but you won't get it. Now, he throws Dragon Balls in World, he throws Dragon Balls in 4, he throws Dragon Balls in Jhen. I don't think it's Jhen, but he throws Dragon Balls in the other games. They have since nerfed those Dragon Balls. Those Dragon Balls are not on the same par as 3rd Gen Dragon Balls. 3rd Gen Dragon Balls, what they would do, he would throw 4, and then he would, they themselves would track you. So he would throw 4, All 4 would track one person, 3 would track one person, 2 would track one person. Thing is, they're tracking. Okay, you know when you type that number into like a UPS and then you hit track and you find it? That's them. They're like, the Dig Dug himself, the Lancer guy, yes, go after him. Boom. And I mean, they do it with like, yo, they rush relentlessly at you. Okay, I mean, it is coming for you. And the coolest thing about it is he will throw them in particular patterns and in which it mixes you up, depending on where he's actually staged on the map. He'll throw it inside a wall. I know that's not necessarily himself, that's just the game and its limitations, but he'll throw the Dragon Ball inside the wall. So now you can't even see the damn thing. You don't even know where it is, or if it's a high one, if it's a low one, if it's come from the left or the right. It's just coming, okay? And it could get pretty annoying. So on top of the Dragon Balls being so tough to actually fight, I like that because it kept you immensely on your toes, whereas Zinogre was just like, I'm kind of here, you know? But outside of the Dragon Balls, he does have his flex. My man likes to flex. He'll walk around, he'll strut his stuff, and if you let him flex enough, Dragon Bolts? Question mark? Would like come from the sky, I think? Huh. That's, yeah, okay, well, that'll happen, and that's kind of cool, you know what I mean? Also, he has the same thing with Zinogre where he can charge up his, his dragon, just like electricity. I've never thought of it right now, but his dragon is very much like electricity. It's almost as if he was like an electric monster known as Zinogre, but, whatever, tomato. But the sweeter things that he can do, quite dope, okay? I can't sit here and say that he's a bad monster. It's actually a quite appealing monster to myself, and maybe to others as well. But if you really want to understand, you have to fight him in the 3rd generation. He's not the same in the latter generations, okay? Yes, he has better combo options than in the latter generation, but it still has combo and wake up options in this 3rd one right here. And it's in this 3rd one right here, his level of cheapness made me like him even more so because he was an incredibly tough fight. And at the glorious number 1 spot, we have Glacial Agnaktor. Now, I can sit here and tell you everything that I like about him, and I totally freaking will, so pay attention. So, Glacial Agnaktor is a subspecies set of Agnaktor. Agnaktor is a lava monster, the lava pike monster, if you will, that is usually home in the volcano. Glacial Agnaktor is in the tundra. My man took it an exact full-on 180. He went from fire to ice boy, okay? So, let me explain the differences. So what makes a perfect subspecies, in my opinion, a perfect one, this is a perfect one. What makes a perfect one is a monster who, let's say he just traveled to this one area and says, you know what, I kind of like it here, but it's kind of rough. I have to adapt. I have to evolve, so on and so forth. Glacial Agnaktor's beak is designed slightly different from that of the standard Agnaktor's beak. Why? To dig through the ice is much difficult than it is to dig through the first thick layer of rock and then this liquidy layer of lava. So you don't need an incredibly dense beak that's built for digging. You just need one to get in the ground for the lava. Once you get through there, you're good. But for the ice, it's much more difficult to dig through just literally solid ice. Once you get down that first layer of icy ground, it's more icy ground and more ice and more, it's a giant solid, okay? It's a giant solid. That's why when you fight him, it takes him a little bit more longer to dig through the ice, even whenever he's actually enraged. So him actually having evolutionary change in his beak, that's cool. Second, his armor that I keep thinking about Ivory, that regular Agnaktor would actually have, he only has it whenever the magma on his body cools down. Thing is, it's cold all the time. So he has armor all the time until you actually break it. This is kind of cool because if he submerges himself in bodies of ice most of the time, whatever, or he's just in this icy out area anyway, he's gonna have ice armor, you know what I mean? And that's just how it's cookie crumbles. The ice is ice, you know? So you have to break the armor first before you can get to the soft bits. And the armor is on all the time until you do so otherwise. Where in which, for Agnaktor, if he gets into the hot lava joint, it gets soft and you can hit it there. So that's kind of cool. I like how it's just the other way around over here. And let's talk about the third. His body is smaller. Why is it smaller? This is something me and a homie actually had to talk about. So we were trying to discuss whether in which it was because it makes it easier for him to actually dig and swim through the underlying ice, or it's just easier to maintain a smaller size when you're in such a cold area because food is a bit more limited. We don't know. We just like the fact that it's an evolutionary change and it's still in there. Now, evolutionary changes aside, my man can fight, okay? Boyo, can homie boyo fight. Let me say this. Double hip check. Boy, when I first saw the double hip check, oh no, I was ill prepared. Was not ready, didn't think I'd ever actually be ready, but like, oh yo, my man has a double hip check. So that's kind of crazy, okay? He comes at you one way, boom, he's swinging the body this way, then he swings back around, cha-cha's real smooth the other way. I was like, wow, my man is doing a lot. So he has a double hip check, he has a new beam, wherein which it's not fire, but it's actually ice. Now here's the thing, I originally thought it was ice and water in the same one beam, which would have been broken, but it's actually just ice, or I think it's water. It's one of the I'm pretty sure it's ice. It's just ice. That's cool. But if it was ice and water, it'd be broken. Now he can actually do this beam in, I think, a different angle. He swings it at this weird arcing angle with his head sometimes. Not as often as how Agnaktor does the standard one, where he just does it straight ahead or side to side. It's a little different, but it's still cool nevertheless to have a beam that's as dope as his. So he has the beam, he has the double hip check, and when he digs underground, depending on what area you actually fight him in, you can actually see him traverse the under canals of the ice. Whew. And his armor is fantastic. Best lancing armor in the game. So with that said, everyone, that is the list right there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my list. If you enjoyed my list, let me know. If you didn't enjoy my list, let me know. Anyway, it is a little biased, because I mean, I would put the Glacial Agnaktor, the one monster that actually benefits a Lancer the most, at the end at number 1, but that's just me. What do you guys think? Did you guys play the 3rd generation? If you did play the 3rd generation, did you consider any of these monsters one of your favorites as well? Let me find out. Let's get a conversation in the comments going. What was your favorites? And if you want me to do more videos like this, let me know. And with that being said, it's been yeah boy. Hey guys, before you go, I want to talk to you really quick about my Patreon page. Essentially, I decided to make it because YouTube is making things very uncertain when it comes to its monetization, and it's not making it easy for me to honestly get the money to do what I need to do, i.e. buy video games, pay for my subscriptions. I haven't had PlayStation Plus in like 3 months. Pay for Roxas to actually do some of these edits that he does for me. So I decided to open up a Patreon page, that way you guys can potentially help me out in this particular endeavor as we, continue doing what we do. And with it, you guys essentially get to get huge bonuses. You get to see content I make early, you get to see behind footage of me doing it, you get to come with me personally on streams making the content, and in the final tier, you actually get to decide on what video we do next. Like flat out say, Dak, if you want to make a video, I want you to make a video about eating turkey, then the next video is going to be about me eating turkey. But essentially, if you guys want to come and take a quick peek at it, you can check out my Patreon, link will be in the description, and I would greatly appreciate it. It's my first time actually giving you guys, like, this is my thing, my Patreon. So yeah, thank you again.